Hey everyone, welcome to 10-Minute Mentorship, brought to you by the Credit Union National Association. On the show, we talk to credit union leaders about the important topic of career development. My name is Antonio Neves. I am a speaker, author, coach, and also a proud credit union member. Now, before I introduce our amazing guest, I want to say thank you and give a shout out to our sponsor, CUNA Mutual Group. We really appreciate all you do to keep the credit union industry thriving and moving boldly into the future. And speaking of CUNA Mutual Group, joining me from CUNA Mutual Group is Andrea Cooper. Andrea, welcome to 10-Minute Mentorship.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're really glad to have you here. And let's get straight into it with this first question that I really love. And that's this right here. Let's imagine you had to start building your career over today, starting today, but you got to use everything in your brain that you've learned up until this moment. Where would you put your time, resources, etc., if you had to start over today?
Probably the biggest thing I would do differently is take more risks and try more things. When I look back, most of my career, I felt like I needed to kind of pick a path, right? And stay on that path and kind of continue this movement. And I think about the things I could have done, like maybe some writing, maybe some entrepreneurial things, maybe some, nonprofit social justice things, all these things I have interest and passion around, but I really kind of picked the corporate path and stayed true to that. So I think that's probably it. The other thing I would say, though, as I was thinking about this question earlier, I didn't have the luxury of all that, right? I mean, to be honest, when I was, early in my career, I just was worried about paying bills and school loans. And, some of those things probably weren't real options for me at that time. But it's fun to look back now, right? Because it's helped me to realize, well, it's not like there's a time limit, right? And I actually took a couple years away from corporate and went into an entrepreneurial role, working for myself. And I was like 42, I think, when I started doing that. So while I wish I'd taken more risk and I had known that I could have done a lot of different things, candidly, maybe that is more of a daydream than reality for me. And all the things that I have gotten to do have really helped me realize I could still do those things.
That's amazing. And I love that you still went after those dreams a little bit later to try some new things out. And if I'm hearing you correctly, for those people listening, I'm hearing you say, be willing to try some different experiences, try some different things. So that's really great advice. Speaking along those lines, what's one thing that you once believed to be true as it relates to work and career that you no longer believe to be true?
I believed that increase in responsibility and title and money would be like a direct correlation to success and happiness. It felt logical to me that this vertical movement was essential, and that if I didn't achieve some of those kind of ambitious goals, that maybe I hadn't fully been successful. And again, that it will just make me happy, right? Again, when I look back as a young professional, it was just like paying basic bills was hard. And I naturally thought, well, if I just make more money, then I'm going to be happier. So I think that's probably a big thing that I've learned. There's some security that can come in that, but happiness is a whole other thing. And a sense of success is also quite different, right? Success, I get to decide what success means to me. And I think I didn't know that earlier on, and I'm really glad to know that now.
I really love that quote right there. I define what success means to me. And I think, to your point, so many people are chasing this whole notion of stability. And as we have learned with pandemics, with economies, there is no such thing as stability. So I like that reminder, not solely to chase titles and to chase dollars and cents, but really chase what brings you joy and makes you happy, and you determine what that is. So thank you for sharing that. For that young man, old man, old woman, anywhere in between who's watching this, who feels like at work, they're regularly overlooked and they're not getting the recognition that they feel like they deserve for the work that they put in. What would you say to that person who feels overlooked and they're not getting the recognition that they crave?
Find a way to be yourself, and also to help others see the value of who you are. And what I mean by that is, I'm not somebody that's going to go around like oh, I did this and I did that, and here's all the things that make me great. But I am always looking for opportunities to connect with leaders and others across the organization and offer my ideas. I tend to be a pretty strategic thinker, so trying to find ways to share ideas around strategy or what could be, it starts to build a reputation, right? And whatever that is, like if you're an analytical person and you see like these insights that others don't seem to see, like raise those up. Or if you're, a very creative person and you have like big ideas, like I think for me, the best way to get that recognition is to really bring who you are to the front.
I'm hearing you say, again, be willing to be yourself and not compromise who that is. But also I'm hearing you say between the lines, be willing to share your ideas as well and not keep them hoarded to yourself. We talked to a lot of people who are experiencing this. And the question I'll ask sometimes is, well, tell me what's coming up in the conversations that you're having with others. And they'll say, well, I'm not having conversations. Well, that's a challenge right there. Be willing to go out there and have those conversations. So thank you for that answer. A couple more questions for you. Thank you for answering these. Right now, as you know, there are a lot of leaders out there who are managing teams. And for the teams or individuals that they're managing, there was a time when they were doing great work. They were killing it. But then something has happened that they've shifted from doing great work to good work. Not the type of work that's bad or going to ring any type of alarms, but no longer the great that they used to do. What would you say to those folks that want to re-engage their team and to get them to go beyond doing good work and getting back to that great work?
I think sometimes in like the leadership space, leaders have been taught kind of a formulaic approach. Here's the professional way to lead a team. And I really think that if leaders took each individual interaction with their team members and took it as an opportunity to understand and to bring the best from that person, I think they'd be able to uncover, like most times at least, why have they gone from great to good, or why have they gone from good to not great, or to bad. I don't think I think it's often because people don't feel that either they're valued when they try their best or that they have an opportunity to show up in that way. And I think too, hierarchy can really get in the way of that, right? And I think that's true in both fronts, right? Individually and as a leader of teams, people can get really bogged down in titles and levels, and I'm supposed to act a certain way around a certain person. And they might see that leader as that person that's their boss, and they can only show up in a certain way. So I think people leaders have a really powerful opportunity to just be real with their team members and just ask the pointed but caring questions. I always I don't know that I achieve it, but as a leader, I try to be somebody who uses candor with kindness, right? So I think without kindness, it's just kind of biting and overly direct. But if they know you're coming from a place of caring, you can ask those really pointed questions and pull them out. So
what a great recipe of candor and kindness. And I'm also hearing you say, be yourself when you become that leader. You don't have to change to be what they write about in the books. People become a manager, and all of a sudden they're like, what do I do with my hands? But also I'm hearing you say, take a personalized approach. It's not one size fit all. So what really good reminders. Thank you. And my last question for you is a fun question. Of course, you're a successful person, but my hunch, Andrea, is that every day hasn't gone perfect for you over the course of your career. There's been some good days. There's been some great days. There's probably been some bad days and not so fun days as well. On those days, or maybe those weeks or months when things aren't going your way, when things aren't fantastic, what have you done, or what do you recommend for others to do to stay optimistic and positive?
For me, it's always been the relationships I have. And what I mean is, beyond like friends and family as support system, finding colleagues that I can really, we spend a lot of time at work. And even in this world where we're all remote, we're still spending a lot of the time that we have in the screen talking to the people that we work with every day. And I think it took me a long time to realize it, but probably especially the last 5 years or more, 5 to 10 years, I realized like if I was more open with my colleagues, if I was more vulnerable with them, especially in those moments that were really hard or when I'd really messed up, or, more likely than not, I'm beating myself up on a mistake or a decision that could have gone better. For me, the colleagues have been just tremendously impactful. And even though, I don't work, I'm at CUNA Mutual now, other places that I've worked where I've developed those relationships, I could text somebody, I can call someone, I can kind of get that moment of reassurance and ground myself in, even on a bad day, it doesn't mean I'm not successful. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person or a bad leader. So for me, it's really those relationships in a deep way with colleagues, not just that surface kind of professional work relationship.
Wow, what a brilliant reminder that even on a bad day, it does not mean that I'm not successful. I'm going to write that down. I might even tweet it. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm also hearing you say just that reminder, that willingness to be vulnerable, that willingness to reveal. And when we reveal and we're vulnerable, it actually brings people closer to us. It gets them to listen as opposed to pushing them away. So those are great reminders. Andrea Cooper, I can't thank you enough for joining me and answering these 5 questions on 10-Minute Mentorship. For you, the viewer, I thank you so much for watching. And of course, CUNA Mutual Group, thank you so much for sponsoring the series. We're going to see everyone on the next episode.